welcome everyone. This is an interview I have been desperate to do, not just since I lightly stalked Alexis on TikTok, but I've always wanted to be interviewing someone who is running for office. It is a dream I will never be able to fulfill. So I am so fascinated by anyone who is brave enough to get up there and actually really fight the fight. So I am so happy to introduce you to Alexis. You are running in 2026, is that right?
Yes, and I just got chills with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Why did you get chills?
I honestly have no idea. I think that I understand that this is a national platform, so obviously my name is going to be out there, and especially when this happens, because I am no longer saying if this happens. When this happens, I'm going to flip a seat that I was told will not happen until 2028 at the very soonest. And I don't think that that's the case based on who I'm talking to and the groups that I'm involved with at this point. And so I know that it's going to be huge when it happens. And also, I feel like it's almost like I'm so honored to be doing this. Like, it doesn't feel like a risk that I'm taking or like I'm brave for doing it. Like, this feels like something that I am not a politician also. Like, let's be so clear. I'm not a politician. So I don't know. I think I just haven't fully grasped like how big this is going to be when it takes off.
I have so many questions, but I just want to start by pushing back very lightly on you're not a politician. You are a citizen in this country who is passionate and concerned. That makes you someone who is fully like here for this. And I'm proud of you, and I don't even know you that well. I like pay attention to everyone on your TikToks, and that's as much as I know you, aside from like our little emails just getting this set up. We're doing this at the beginning of the year, and this is the time where people are, number one, doing their like, this is what I want to do this year. This is my goals. I don't like to say New Year's resolutions because I'm disabled, and routines and that stuff, that just does not fly for those of us who have chronic conditions. A lot of people are thinking about what their goals are going to be this year. And also, we just started a presidency, a reign, a regency. I'm not really sure what to call this, an oligarchy. We just started something that no one's ever seen before. So a lot of people are, I have no fingernails left. Most people I know are rocking back and forth. We're terrified about Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. And I know that when I am spinning, my best thing is action. So I want to talk to you first about what you're doing, because you're doing the ultimate action. You're not just phone banking. You're not just shit posting on TikTok. We do swear here, by the way. Feel free to or not to. I'm disabled and in chronic pain. I get to say fuck. If nothing else, at least I have that. So aside from just shit posting and trolling and just doing that, which I do actually think there's value in, you are actually out there. So please talk to me about first, what was your breaking point where you're like, I am no longer just a regular citizen. I am going to get up there and actually work on changing the system. And then let's talk about how you did it. But first, I want to hear what your breaking point was.
Yes. Okay. So first, technically, I am an elected official currently. Small scale. I saw the excitement. In 2022, I decided to run for the Community Services District Board of Directors because I saw a few posts about it, and I was in my head thinking, no way this small conservative town is going to elect somebody that looks like me, that acts like me, and that talks like me. That's not happening. And then nobody else ran. And so I was appointed, and now I'm the vice president of the board. And my whole platform has been, we need to make sure that we're representing the people. So if there's people that are doing public comment and they're upset about something that we've done, let's talk about that. Let's fix this, make sure that the people are represented. This happened so quickly that I decided to run, and everything else has just been snowballing at this point. But I had a meeting for work with a teacher that oversees the Young Democrats Club in District 23 for one of the high schools. And one of the students, he's my inspiration. He was talking about how I got chills when he was talking about it. He was talking about his game plan and what he's going to do to get to the White House. That is his dream. And I got chills, and I was like, I believe that you are going to do this. And then after that, I was like, okay, I already hold a position right now. I was already elected by a town and granted, I ran unopposed. So it's not like they chose to elect me, but I still am in office, and the community loves me at this point. So what's to say I can't do that on a bigger scale and actually have a voice and make the changes that we so desperately need? And then, with this new administration or whatever you want to call it, that's going on right now.
Word. Mad lib this. Let's do an adjective.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was very, very clear though that like we wanted a change. Like the fact that he got so many votes, the people wanted to change. So like maybe not that change, but let's change it. Let's change the system. Let's fix the system.
My bowler with that smile. That I felt like totally like the Joker for a moment there. Yeah, people wanted a change. I don't think anyone was prepared for this change. No. So I'm sorry, still breathing. I kept promising people I'd stop looking at the news before interviews because I don't know. We get a lot of shit about being political, and I keep reminding people we're a disability podcast. We're innately political, and it shouldn't have been. But somehow this is political, and I don't understand why the things that are political are political. Climate change, vaccines, Earth being not flat. I like seriously. There's a porous. Like, I'm sorry, it's crazy to me what's political now. And so I'm so happy that more people like you are standing up and going, I'm actually willing to take this on, because there's a lot of us who are like, what do you do? Like when you're upset, scared, sad, afraid, and you actually feel like you have some of the answers. Mm-hmm. And you got to see a student who feels like eventually they will have the answers. They'll be prepared. They have their path. I feel like you just talked to a Barack Obama from like 40 years ago. I can feel your excitement for what he's going to become. And that's such a beautiful, exciting thing to see. I feel the same looking at you. I am really excited about watching what you're going to become. So talk to me. I know you're in my state. I don't know what District 23 is, so I'm still not sure exactly where you are in my state, but how are you working with conservatives? And I think that's one of the things that everyone wants to talk about. And when I was saying like everything's political that shouldn't be, that feels very purposeful to keep us very divided. And yes, right? That's the oldest trick in the book is like you first divide people by gender and you create patriarchy, misogyny, so that men and women can't work together or, whatever. Like, forgive me, please, everyone. I fully believe trans lives matter. Non-binary people exist. I believe all of that. I just am on medication and I've had like a knee dislocation right before this interview. So forgive me if I miss. Ehlers-Danlos sucks. Disability sucks. And sometimes you dislocate right before an interview or looking forward to it. You just decide you're doing the interview anyway, and fingers crossed. So if I'm getting my terminology wrong, please understand. I love the community. I'm so sorry. I'm doing my best. But it's that divide. It's first divide by gender, then you divide by race, then you divide by economy, then you divide by whatever else you want to divide by. But you've gotten people into these little pieces and you make it so it's impossible to like each other. And that was a real discussion during the election cycle this last time where the rhetoric got foul. It got horrible. The rhetoric got so intense and so hateful against people that I really thought that maybe that rhetoric was being passed down to these people so that it pushed their friends and family away and isolated them even further. Because it made it even harder to have discussions when suddenly someone's telling you don't have the right to live. And it got to the point that as a disabled person, I was being told I didn't have the right to live. I didn't have the right to exist. So it got real sticky. And I almost like, I'm looking at these people, I'm like, you don't seem that insane. So are you you being told to do this just so that we can't even have a discussion anymore? And I'm wondering if you're in this district that's so conservative and you are working with people, give us some hints on how, because we are never going to fix this country if we don't work together.
Right. So honestly, literally like a few hours ago was at lunch with my mom who lives relatively close to me. And we were talking about exactly that and how it feels very intentional that we have all of these like fear-based issues that divide us because we have the power. If we come together, we have the power to make this change, to actually make our government work for us. And right now it's not because we're too divided. And don't get me wrong, like 100%, I also believe that trans lives matter and the queer community in general, we need to make sure that there is visibility and that we are supporting our queer and trans youth and immigrants and, different racial and ethnic identities. Like that is what this country is built on, is the diversity. And so we really need to be nurturing that. And also, I have found that if we focus on the issues that I know people agree with, if you look at taxes taxes suck, especially in California. Our taxes are really, really, really high. The IRS right now estimates that every single year, $1 trillion of taxes go uncollected, mostly from corporations and really, really rich people. So we can totally get rid of the normal working class people's income tax, federal income tax, by making sure the IRS is funded so that they can collect those taxes. And that's something that, like, I come from a very conservative family and have had, before I even launched the campaign, I was like, hey, Dad, can we sit down? I want to have a conversation, and I want to pick your brain about politics. I don't want to fight about it. I'm not going to push back. Like, I just want to genuinely hear your ideas. And we agreed on everything when it came to the economy, because when we're talking about, like, tax the rich, I mean, for 90% of us, that's a no-brainer. Like, absolutely, we should be taxing the rich. So that's really what I've been focusing on, and trying to communicate and connect with the community as much as possible so that I can hear what their concerns are. And for the most part, for the working class, it's taxes are too high. There aren't any local jobs. Healthcare is a huge concern. And so, like, these are things that we can fix on the federal level, but we need somebody in office that understands the working class. And in District 23, I mean, his net worth is like $100 million. He doesn't understand what we're going through on a daily basis, like, so far removed. And, like, he was doing community coffees so that he could get to know the community members.
So you're talking about your opponent.
Yeah, the person that I'm going to unseat.
You are, yes.
It's going to happen at this point. But yeah, he's worth millions, and, like, canceled his community coffees because people were showing up in opposition. They don't agree, so you're just going to stop talking to your constituents instead of listening to them and doing the job that you were elected to do and represent the people.
So are you going to take over those community coffees?
Absolutely. So I already on Saturday, and I'm not taking any PAC donations, because I think that it totally negates the purpose of running on a platform of, like, take the money out of politics if I'm accepting corporate donations. So it's all crowdfunded and also very low budget. And so I'm trying to do more social media and getting the word out that way, and then planning events in, like, public areas. So on Sunday, I'll be at a park in Hesperia for 4 hours, and I'm just going to hang out there. If nobody shows up, I get 4 hours of sunlight, and I'm going to read a book. And if people do show up, then I get to have conversations with them, and I get to engage with, like, what do you want to see from DC? What do you want to see from your elected officials? And also, once I am elected, absolutely, I will be in the community hosting bigger town halls on a bigger scale. And even during this campaign, like, once the money starts coming in more, absolutely. But I also don't want to, like, focus too much of that, the fundraising and all of that, on renting large halls if I can buy, like, a speaker and a microphone and hang out in a park and talk to people for free.
I'm here for the park. I think that's just like go to dog parks, have a picnic, have a party. And, like, the theatrics that I'm seeing are not bad anymore. Like, I am really impressed with the politicians that showed up outside of Republican offices where they weren't holding town halls, with the cutouts, the cardboard cutouts of that politician, and then holding their own right outside their door. And, like, this is where you start hiring, like, theater kid interns, and just be like, how do I get the attention without the money? And theatrics are not necessarily bad. Like, opposition is not necessarily bad. Like, we need more of this energy. If I lived near you, I would absolutely, like, wheel my wheelchair over and, like, hang out with you. So what's the book? What book would you be reading at the park?
I actually just finished my favorite book I've ever read in my entire life.
Please give me an idea.
It's called Poverty by America. Also, I'm super into nonfiction, so I really, really enjoy reading, like, what's going on right now. And that book was incredible. I think his name is Matthew Desmond is the author. And it was all about, like, how do we end poverty in America and take on the corporate greed, essentially.
What was something in that book that you're like, if I could just wave a magic wand, I would implement that?
Honestly, everything. When I get into office, 100%, that author is going to be a part of my team drafting this legislation, because the ideas that he has I mean, he has a plan laid out to actually end poverty. And the problem with ending poverty, and I say that problem, right, because it should be a no-brainer, is that everybody does benefit from keeping the poor because we have lower cost of goods and because we're not paying people a living wage. And I think that that is so inhumane that, like our goods might go up a couple of dollars, and that sucks. But also, if we drop our federal income taxes and start this redistribution of wealth, then we can afford to pay people a living wage so that they're not working their lives away and not able to be in their community and be with their loved ones, which is what we have right now. And I don't like that.
I'm part of the disability community, and it is legal to pay us almost nothing to work, which is insane. And then we also have the issue of Social Security and disability, where a lot of us can't get married. And not only can we not get married, we can't even live with our caregivers or our partners. Like the amount of like what you're talking about, especially, and we could discuss like for-profit prisons, which fortunately I believe our state does not allow that. If I'm correct, I've been wrong before. It certainly happened. But if I'm correct, I don't think so. But I do know in states where there is for-profit prisons, we have people who they actually like have a cap. And if the judges don't give them enough prisoners, they have to pay these prisons millions. So it encourages them to create prison sentences, which shouldn't have been given out. It could have been handled another way. And so that gives prisoners, and for those who don't understand this, they now have to work and they can be paid like 25 cents an hour. So if you think that if you think we lost the slave class, it's still there. And that gets put onto marginalized communities, disability, people of color. Sorry, I will start foaming at the mouth and I will try very hard not to. But you're talking about the wealth distribution, and we now have an unelected president of the United States who had the option to end hunger. He was literally given the blueprint by an official agency, which he asked for. He asked for a blueprint. $6 billion. How do I end poverty and hunger? And they sat down for a month and gave him a transparent list. And he said, no, I think I'll buy Twitter and ruin it and devalue it to almost nothing. The man had the option and chose no. So I just wanted to put that out there when we're discussing like wealth tax, because Warren Buffett, was it him who just said, if I paid this much money, no one would have to pay taxes and it wouldn't even affect me.
I'm not sure if it was him or not, but I do know.
Yeah, it was one of the billionaires that I don't necessarily like.
Right.
Start like sweating a little bit when I start thinking about. So I love that book, and that's really interesting. I'm a mom who actually made my son read 9 to 5, nickel and diming it, 9 to 5 and Not Getting By in America. I made him read that when he was 13. It's a great book. Have you read that book?
There's like a documentary or something on it, right? So
yeah,
I watched it, but I haven't read the book.
The book was so good. I just finished Braiding the Sweetgrass, which I thought was phenomenal. Hope by Jane Goodall rocked my universe just because I'm so terrified and depressed. And that book, without making it sound like, no, they're there, it's going to be all better, really like tapped into that Jane Fonda moment of optimism is passive, hope is active, and you actually have to chase that. You have to like chase hope and like pitbull it, which is why I'm so excited listening to you talk, because it really feels like you have the energy to pitbull this. It feels like you have the energy to go after this. And what I'm hearing from you is you want to, like, your big goals are taxation changes, making the IRS a better. Someone explained to me, like I'm 5 years old, why removing the people who collect the money is going to help us with the deficit. I'm not confused. I know exactly what's going on. I'm just tired. So that's what I'm hearing from you. What are some of the other things that you would like to change in your community? And I'm so sorry, where are you? You say District 23, and I'm like, I don't know what district I'm in, but I know it's not you because I would have heard of you by now.
So District 23 is massive. It covers 3 different counties, but the bulk of it is San Bernardino County.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
If you were talking like a Valley Girl, I would have gotten it. If you had said Hella or Hecka, I would have been there. But
yeah.
Okay, yes. You definitely have an interesting counties there that you have environmental issues there, which goes right back to my world of disability, because a lot of us either like, and granted, my DNA did not get changed by environmental issues, but it didn't get helped by it either. And you have a lot of like runoff from fertilizers, from like, you have a lot of stuff. What are some of your plans for how to help with that? Because you're looking at stuff that affects school kids and whether they can really perform in school.
Yeah, so I think that it is extremely important to not only make sure that we are addressing climate change, right? And like addressing the issues in our communities, and not pulling out of deals and you know, these things that we have in place so that we slow it down a little bit because we have issues here. And also I think it's really important to be protecting what we have. And one of the things that, so this morning I did a photo shoot with somebody to launch a better website so that it looks better and has.
But I wanted so much more information about you.
Yeah. I literally sent her like this 5-page essay with like a breakdown of my platform on all of these different issues and like my bio, and I was like, here, put these with the pictures and make it pretty. But when we were doing that, she took like a little video of me and she asked why I like it here. And I told her, like, I have the ocean that's 2 hours away. I have the mountains that's in my backyard. And then the desert is everywhere. Like there's so much of that. So anywhere I go, like I'm able to enjoy nature. And I think it is so important to make sure that we are protecting that and making sure that we have these policies in place that are protecting our children in these communities and also making sure that our environment is safe.
Protecting us too. I mean, like, I feel like I have just as much of a right to a healthy life as my child. Love the kids too, but it would be nice to also be healthy. What are some of the things that you're seeing aside from, we're talking about taxation, we're talking about lack of jobs. What would you be able to, what kind of policies do you think that anyone, because you know, it would be great if other politicians hear this and are like, hey, that's a good plan. What are some policies that you think could be enacted that would help create more jobs? Or I'm sorry, I'm leading the question here. Where I'm hoping to go is eventually get you to talk about work from home policies, because that's a big thing for the disability community. And in areas where you're at, where there's not necessarily the high paying jobs there, I was so furious with the Gavin Newsom today. I was spitting fire. It's just an issue for, especially when you're talking to healthy people who've never really experienced disability, they just don't understand the implications. And that's fair. I mean, I certainly didn't when I was healthier. But he just told all workers that they have to go back to the office. And the amount of like bile in my soul from a man who has nannies, who has come from significant wealth, sitting here telling employees they have to go back after BART raised their fares. The Bay Bridge is $10 fucking to cross. And he wants people to go get daycare, where daycare in our state, it's a mortgage payment. And when I say mortgage payment, I mean one child over like $2,000 a month for full-time care. It is impossible to afford. And he's telling everyone they have to go back to the office. And I am sitting there fighting for my life in comments going, this is an ADA issue.
Yeah.
If you force people back to the office, you are cutting out not just the disabled workers, you're cutting out the caretakers too. And then you also are forcing people to pay a shit ton of money in gas, because we have the most expensive gas in the country. And they're paying insane rates to take BART, which was supposed to be free. So was the Bay Bridge. You're making these people have to travel and pay this and be away from their families when it's already been proven in multiple studies. Work from home works more effectively. They are more productive, and it allows the disability community to make money, which means we're not taking money from disability.
Yeah. And I mean, that directly affects the District 23 folks too, because a lot of people here, I mean, it's a massive district. So a lot of people either have huge commutes because they're going all the way to LA from Victorville or Barstow, or they are working remote. And so, that's it.
Also, yeah, especially like looking from like a health, we're talking for a disability podcast, and let's also talk health for a second. Are you telling me that we're not going to have another COVID experience again where we have to work from home? Like, that's what just baffles me when they're trying to take away like my telehealth. That was the big thing that Trump has taken away. And that means that I will have to really hurt myself physically to get to a doctor. Kids won't be able to easily transition back to Zoom calls when we have our next, like, it's insane to think, especially with RFK Jr. as our health secretary, that we're not going to have another massive pandemic. So why take down all the infrastructure we had to build?
Yeah. And I mean, it's become the new norm, right? Like we all have the ability, the technology to do this. And it makes it to where, like, currently in my elected position, we had a board meeting last night, and we were talking about how we need to make this more accessible so that people can join from home couch, so that we bring more community members in, because we have like the handful of people that show up to every single meeting, but that's not representative of every person in this community. So we need to make sure that people can join and we can hear them and we can answer their questions and have a conversation. And so I think it's really, really important to recognize the benefits in this post-COVID world where we have grown with this technological age. And you know, it is difficult for some people to learn this. And I think it's important to still have the option to be in person, but have an option to be hybrid or virtual too, and still be able to engage in the same way.
I love your idea of the options. And I think that's such an important point. Also shows how you're able to think through the problem solving of it, because we're not static creatures. Our health changes, our family's health change. My husband had the right to work from home and now it was rescinded, and his absences have grown significantly. And he's told them, like, can I just get the ability to work from home when my wife is really sick or when I'm really sick? Then I don't have to take the day off. I can still get everything done. And they keep saying no. And it just seems so arbitrary and weird. Like, why would you keep someone from working if they want, like,
Yeah.
So what are some of the other ways to get people involved? And I think that, you know, it feels like when you go on the internet, everyone has an opinion and everyone cares. And then you go out for coffee and suddenly everyone's a little unplugged in some weird ways. It's like, oh, I'm not political, which is my instant red flag. If you ever tell me you're not political, we are not friends. I'm sorry, I can't. You just told me you do not care about marginalized people, and I cannot with you. So, but I do hear this like rhetoric of, oh, I'm not political. Oh, I'm not, this isn't my focus. This isn't my thing. How do we get people more involved? How do we make politics accessible? And how do we make it accessible to think about running or supporting someone we care about? Like, how do we move towards that point?
Yeah. So, great question.
It's so rare. I'm so excited. And I'm not being snarky. I'm serious.
No, honestly, a great question. And I think that there, especially in California, like, we have made strides towards making it more accessible with like the move towards mail-in ballots and ADA polling places that are compliant, and so it's accessible, right? It's supposed to be.
And the voting. Oh my gosh, we can vote from home with no. That's how I vote. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for that.
And I mean, this is a disability podcast, right? So within the disability community, I feel like there's oftentimes this idea of like, oh, well, some people can't vote because of their cognitive ability or whatever. And that's not the case. Even if you're under guardianship or conservatorship, you still have the right to vote unless like a judge has taken that away. But if a judge hasn't taken that away, like, you have the right to vote. You have the right to get out there and make sure your voice is heard. And even with, I mean, like, a lot of public meetings have gone to this kind of hybrid way, so that you
city has, which I love.
So you're still, and of course, this isn't across the board, and I can guarantee San Bernardino County is a little bit behind the times in this. So it's definitely not across the board, but like, there are areas where you are able to get involved, or even like calling your representative or drafting a letter and sending it to their email or something, or, you know, like having these supports, I mean, from your community, getting together and sending it off and making sure that your voice is heard. And as far as making running accessible, I think that honestly, when I get elected and I start pushing towards taking this big money out of politics, I think that that's going to immediately open doors for so many people that have this passion and want to change America or their constituent or their district or whatever it is that they're running for. Like, they want to impact their community in a bigger way. I think it's going to open a lot of doors, because that's going to make it to where, I mean, I know that Jay Obernolte, who's the person that currently holds District 23 seat, I know he fundraised over $1 million to take that seat last year. And his opponent was well under $1 million. So, and like, but still, like $700,000, I can't imagine that much money. Like, that's insane to me. And so I feel like when we take this PAC money out, when corporations are no longer able to donate, when we overturn Citizens United and make it to where you are not taking this money, like this is no longer a who has the biggest pocketbook. This is a who has the policies that are going to be the best for the constituents and the voters, and who has the platform that people want to vote for.
What are some of the policies that you're looking at right now in your county that you're like, this may have been well-intentioned and just giving the benefit of the doubt, but man, this is holding us back?
Honestly, I'm going to be so real with you. The person in office right now, he has one of the lowest track records for getting bills approved.
I've never heard of him, which is crazy. I'm actually pretty involved in stuff.
Yeah.
And I have not heard of him. So he is not making any noise.
He's not. And he's very much like voting in line with the Conservative Party. Like he's just kind of, I mean, I don't want to talk shit. I don't want to.
We're not. We're just going to discuss like
policies.
Yeah. Talk shit later for you. No problem. I'll look it up and talk shit. But we'll let you stay out of that. But we'll just talk policy. And, that's actually something that I really do respect about what you're saying. Is there's no need to shit talk. But I like the campaigns. Like Kamala's campaign excited me. And I haven't been excited since Obama. Biden did not excite me. I was happy to vote for him, but I was not overjoyed. And I am rather impressed with what he got done. But that hope core of I'm not going to sit here and spend my time shit talking someone. Let's talk how we move forward. Let's talk about the policies that can get enacted that make this place safe, good, and inclusive, and give the best possible life, because that's what politics is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about enriching and making the best, safest lives that we can. So let's talk about that. What are the policies that you're like, oh, that is not it?
Yeah. So definitely Citizens United.
Sorry, that one just stuck in my throat. Okay, sorry. Okay, we have an international audience as well. My friends, please understand when you are talking to us and you're like, Americans, how can you let this happen? We didn't. It's called Citizens United. It passed in, what was it, 2000? I'm so sorry, everyone. I cannot remember. But the Supreme Court decided why have brakes on money, which meant it used to be that you had to know who was donating. There was actual limits on how much you could donate. Now it's just open borders, which is why Elon Musk could spend billions getting Donald Trump elected. And that is where you see things get in trouble too, which is why I don't understand why the corporations take part in this, because you watch Target die. I don't know how they're coming out of this tailspin. You watch Starbucks go into a tailspin. You're watching Tesla just plummet. Why corporations are like, hey, there's going to be 50% of the people are going to go, no, never buying you again. But let's give the money anyway. So when we're talking about overturning Citizens United, it's because the money is so intense. You absolutely have a hard time running unless you have a super PAC behind you, which you are bravely going to do. And we have had success stories. We have watched people actually get elected without the super PACs. But it's a harder road. What is your main thing that you really feel is the reason you need to be here? Because you have it's not that you want power, obviously, because there are so many other ways to do it. You certainly don't want money because there are much cheaper, much less stressful ways to get money. What's your purpose here? What is the thing you desperately want done?
Yeah. So, I think that my vision and how I think, what I think sets me aside from either side, right? So even the current incumbent, but what I think puts me in a different bracket is I did not spend my entire life creating this image of a politician, right? So I know shit's going to come out and I'm ready to own it. I have this lived experience, and also I had this realization that so many of our politicians are lawyers, or they've created this for their this is their career trajectory. For me, I've been in the nonprofit sector since day one. I've only been working to better my communities, and also I have very conservative family members where I'm still able to have a conversation even about politics, because I know which topics we can agree on and which topics are going to buy your vote. And so I feel like I have this kind of unique ability to have conversations with both sides and make it very clear that I am so far left. Like, I'm out the door at this point. And I'm still able to have conversations with people that are moderate or slightly right leaning, or even like a little bit further than slightly right leaning. And we're able to agree on things because I grew up trying to kind of bridge this gap of communication and be able to be around my family and not, have a blow up.
That does make you so unique. You remind me a little bit of Pete Buttigieg, and that is a unique qualification. And I think that part of what's really going to work for you is, as wonderful as that story is, as wonderful. I'm so excited to find out more about this kid and what this kid is going to become. But there's also something very special that also attracted me to your story, which is that you didn't have this as a plan.
No.
And it's very hard to plan. There's, you look at the kids who are like, I will be a doctor, and then they're like the head of Stanford. You're like, yeah, I saw that one coming. But that's not relatable to a lot of us. A lot of us are like looking at the politics right now going, I don't know what to do. I know how I want to fix it.
Right.
But I don't know how to even get involved in this. And that's why your story speaks so clearly to me, is because you're there, you're living that. You saw a problem and you're like, hey, I'm going to run for this. And, granted, you got to do it unopposed this time. This time you're going to go up on a fight, right. But you really take on that fight. Mm-hmm. And you didn't have this written for you. So here's my next question for you, because I feel like it's really hard to get anywhere without someone who really believes in you. Do you have someone in your corner who is just like hyping, like your hype person? Because it's so hard to like convince yourself to do something big like this. And you are putting yourself out there in a scary way. Like, just like internet and shit talking, like I start to sweat a little bit, like when people start like clapping back, like you're going to go on a national stage and deal with the clapbacks. Who is in your corner? Who has your back?
Yeah. So honestly, and it's my dad and I haven't had like the best relationship leading up to this, but I feel like since announcing my run, like this is going to get real personal. This is the first time in a very long time that I have felt fully unequivocally supported by my dad. And so it's like brought us a lot closer. My mom lives right down the street from me. And I mean, we try to get lunch as often as we possibly can. We talk on the phone all of the time. So I'm like really leaning on my family. And then it's been mind blowing for me because like I announced my run and it was like almost like a spur of the moment thing. Like I had been thinking about it for like a week and announced my run. And then it was like the floodgates opened and I have like a council member in my district who is in my corner who's like feeding me information, letting me know who else is running and some of their background, and also talking to me about how he sees what other people have said that they see in me and that I have this drive and I'm willing to do the work to make this happen that maybe other people don't necessarily have. And like Jay Obernolte, the current incumbent, like he throws money at the problem and doesn't really get out into the community. And I am like signing up for every community cleanup day that I can find and any kind of chamber of commerce events that are going on, anything that's going on. And it's a massive district. So from Joshua Tree to Cal City, like I'm making sure that I am actively being present in the community because again, like I'm not taking corporate money. So the only way to do this is going to be boots on the ground. Let's have conversations and build connections.
Let's talk about this because there's got to be someone else who's listening to this who hasn't figured out how to get to Emily's list or how to get the sponsorship or the help to move forward. That's one of the things that I'm always interested in is when people start running for office and they've never spent a day out there in the community. Talk about like, what are some of the ways to do boots on the ground, community cleanup days, and being involved in each of the open house, the discussions. What are some other ways that people can start testing out leadership, testing out community involvement?
Yeah, I think like a big thing is look for any kind of clubs that are aligned with you. That's how it really took off for me is the High Desert Progressive Democrats. Like I sat down and I just said, hey, yeah, I think I'm going to run. And then we started talking about it and then it snowballed. And also there's like Reddit groups for different areas that post events. There's Facebook groups that post events. So even if it's not necessarily like you're doing a community cleanup that's city sponsored or you're going to a Chamber of Commerce event, there are other community members and organizations that maybe are hosting events or resource fairs or things like that where you're able to go and just shake hands. And even like go to a coffee shop and sit there for a little bit and start talking to people around you. And I know that that is so uncomfortable in today's day and age. Even for me, like I've been having to push myself so far out of my comfort zone over the last.
Fascism is so much more uncomfortable, people. Fascism is much more uncomfortable than phone calls and saying hi to people. Just letting y'all know.
Yeah. But I mean, there are a lot of different ways that you can connect with the community. And
what are your favorite questions to ask people? What's your icebreaker? First off, what's your icebreaker? Because that's going to be the first question everyone has. Like, I barely can talk to my cat. How am I going to go out and talk to someone? So what's an icebreaker? And also, what's your favorite question to ask community members to get to the heart of the problem? Because just going, hey, what do you hate? You're going to be in for like, if you ask me, what do I hate? That's why I have a podcast that's gone on for 7 years. It can go for a minute. So how do you get to the point, and what's your icebreaker?
Yeah, so my icebreaker is really just like, hey, I'm running for Congress in this district. Do you live here?
That's a good one. I'm here for it.
And like, I mean, I have a nose ring. Like, I have tattoos everywhere. It's cold up here, so you can't see it right now. But like, I don't look like a
covered in my like long sleeves, and I'm covered from neck to tailbone. My arms are covered. Yeah, I hear you.
Yep. But then I start asking about the community and what they notice in the community. So it's not necessarily like a federal, like, let's not talk about what's going on out there. But what are you noticing here in this town, in this city, in this unincorporated area, wherever I'm at? What are you noticing here?
You're taking them out of themselves and have them think about their entire community. I love that.
Yeah.
That's good. Tell me how, let me see how I phrase this. How do you hype yourself up? Like, how do you, like, when you're in there and you're like starting to like, I mean, I am totally just shining a mirror onto you. This is my issue. I know I come across as like outgoing. I am not. How do you get yourself to like feel like it took me years to feel like I knew what I was doing, and I still don't. How do you feel like you are the person to answer this call?
Honestly, I think I just have the audacity to do it.
I mean, look at who has the audacity to do it. Right. That doesn't make you step up and go, you know what, I'm fine, I got this. I challenge you to watch C-SPAN for 10 minutes and you will feel fine.
Exactly. And like, I mean, I think that it's such a normal human response to struggle with like, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? Am I qualified for this? And who we got up there right now, I'm qualified for this.
That's the problem. I really think that you just answered the biggest issue we have in politics is the people who don't ask that question have the audacity.
Right.
And the people who do ask that question will just sit there in absolute stunned silence. And they might be they're probably the most qualified because they care. Mm-hmm. The ones with the audacity to just run ahead and be like, right. If you've ever seen Parks and Rec, but that election cycle in Parks and Rec felt like the most real thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And honestly, I think that like so if we think about the founding fathers, they were just normal people. They were not these like career politicians because there wasn't a politician to be a career at that point. Like it didn't exist. They were also young. I don't think people quite clicked with how young they were. I mean, I know I'm old now, but like they were younger than I am now. And like they also decided to leave out 50% of the population and they owned people. So I feel like we need to do a little bit of thinking when we lionize them.
Right. Yeah, no. And my point was more so that just like these were normal people.
Yeah.
Like wanted to represent only certain people, but they did want to represent, the
There were some good ideas there. I am not saying that there were no good ideas. Right. There are a few things I really like.
Yeah, and I think that idea of like representation of the people is one that we need to revisit. The other ones, not so much.
When they decide, I'm sorry, that was the thing I was going to tell everyone who is not in the United States, made Citizens United, going back, because I am, aside from all the other acronyms I have ADHD too. Going back to Citizens United, it meant that corporations were people. And that was literally the legal definition. Somehow that means we don't arrest CEOs when they do illegal things. I don't know how that worked out, but somehow it works out that they still have no responsibility like you and I would have if we created a product that would kill people. But it does mean that they can do whatever a citizen has the right to do, they get to do. They just have none of the culpability of a citizen, which I still don't get how that works. But
so frustrating.
Who knows? Oh God, there's so many things that just like, I feel like every day I'm losing more and more enamel in my back teeth from like grinding them. Yeah. And then I have 2 kids and they're pretty much adults now, but like, I cannot tell you how stressful it is. And I'm sure you're hearing from your community. having young adults and kids and a future that you have to now work with. And there's so many things up in the air right now of like, is college the right idea? And we are lucky enough in the California where we both live, where community college is free. And I do not understand why that's not a thing nationwide, where at least certificates, becoming an electrician, becoming a auto mechanic, a nurse, like all of these things that you can get a certificate in a junior college, which would lead to, more taxes, more involved citizens. That should be free everywhere. So yeah, I studied you. I know how we agree. We're very close on almost everything. Here's something I was just thinking of for you, and please take or leave the idea. But your superpower, as far as I can tell, is that you do have the ability to talk across the aisle. You do have the ability to have a discussion. Your father sounds like your superpower right now, and leveraging that to have a TikTok live or a podcast where you talk to your father and other conservatives about their concerns, what they're worried about, and have a discussion with them on air, on TikTok, on whatever. I think that would be, we got to see what Buttigieg did with town halls on Fox News. And I think it's such a great way, because the isolation is not making anyone happy. And not being listened to is where we got to this moment, is in entire tracks of people felt left out and ignored. Now, I don't know why they decided that the answer was fascism, but I feel like we got to a point of isolation, and I really think your superpower is breaking down that wall of isolation.
Which I'm really hopeful.
You're making, like, seriously, I have not had hope for a minute, and you make me feel hopeful every time I see your TikToks. I'm like, oh, I actually, there's this little glimmer of a firefly ember, and I'm starting to feel a little happy and hopeful.
Amazing.
So tell me a little bit about your days, because if anyone's thinking about running, I want to give them a realistic idea of what it looks like to run for office. So because you're also doing a job too while you're doing this, which, oh my goodness, my friend, I cannot imagine the Monster energy drinks and caffeine you have to ingest. I don't even know if you have kids or not, or pets or anything, but that's a lot on your plate. So tell me about what it's like to run. What did you have to do to file paperwork? Did you have to talk to someone? What are the first steps if someone's bucket list was like, I want to run? Let's go through it. What's the first step?
So honestly, at this point, so you have to wait to file until you're closer. So I'm not technically a candidate. I'm somebody that's exploring the idea. And also, because I want to do this so low budget, I realized that we need to start this immediately, which is why I'm getting out in the community so much, because name recognition is huge. In order to file, in California specifically, there are 3 different ways that you can get your name on a ballot. The first is to have whatever party their nomination for you. So whether it's Republican, Democrat, if they're nominating you, then you're on the ballot. The next is to pay.
But wait, how do you get the nomination?
I would say connecting with your local Democratic clubs, because for the most part, each area does have one and they do have input. And then reaching out to other elected officials on a smaller scale. Or if you're planning, what I'm doing right now is not the norm for them. And AOC did the same thing, right? Where she was a waitress and then decided she was going to be in Congress and did a lot of work to get there. Let's be so clear.
Oh my God.
But she didn't, it wasn't I have the Democratic Party nominee and that's not how she did it. So it is possible to do it other ways, which is my plan. One of the other ways is to pay $1,700. But again, I'm trying to do this as low budget as possible. So that is not my plan. And then the last way to do it is to get signatures, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 1,300 signatures. So you have to get a petition, and it's within a certain, only a couple of months. But if you start early and start building that base early, then you can get, and also if you're one of the pieces of advice that I got when I was kind of stressing about getting on the ballot, because that sounds that's a lot of people. I don't know 1,300 people. That's a lot of people. And so having that conversation of how do I do this? The person I was talking to told me, if you can't get 1,300 signatures, how are you going to get into office? So having that mentality of 1,300 is a lot of people, but that is way less than what you have to convince to get into office. So if you can't get 1,300 signatures to get on the ballot, maybe do one of the other options if possible.
So you get to go to the clubs. I think that's an incredible idea. Almost any city does. Just Google it, look it up. Go to your library. If you can't find it any other way, go to the library and find out, if your party has a group there. And that sounds like one of the best ways to start.
Yeah.
Once you figure out that you're definitely going to run, what's the next thing? How do you start building this platform? How do you start getting people to listen to you? How do you move forward with this? And you've done a really incredible job of like, I'm going to go to each event. I'm going to shake hands. I am going to breathe deep and go, hi, I'm running. This is me. What are some of the other ways that people can do this?
Sorry, my dogs are barking for a second.
I am such a dog person. Okay, I am in love. Yeah, you need to bring your dogs with you everywhere you go. Like that right there, that face would get anyone elected. My God. What's your dog's name?
That's Leia. I have three dogs.
Princess Leia?
Yes. Because her ears look like the bun.
Is there an Obi-Wan? Like, do we have a Luke? Do we have a Yoda?
Just Princess Leia.
What are your other ones?
I have a Great Pyrenees. She's outside barking right now, and that's the mascot. So she needs to start making some appearances because that's the one that's going to take this.
Bring her up to the Bay Area. I will photograph her for you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but in your area, those are the best dogs to have to keep you safe from coyotes and rattlesnakes and everything else. They are great dogs for that.
Yeah.
So and Great Pyrenees, and then who else you have?
I have a dingo.
Oh my gosh. You have like all the wildness. Your life is chaos, my friend. I love it. If you can handle those three, Congress is going to be a piece of cake. You're going to be like, man, I got this.
Yeah. And that's one of my other like superpower strengths is that I love chaos. If it's calm, I feel like something's wrong and I want to like stir the pot because
you're handling me so well.
Yeah.
That's really good. That is a good thing to put out there as well, because it's easy. You're talking to me. We agree on almost everything, but you're not going to be talking to me, and you don't talk to me because you're in an area where me does not really exist, at least not out in public. So your ability to enjoy chaos, that feels like a really good thing to tout.
Yeah. And honestly, it's been, I feel like the hardest part so far about running has been trying to handle some of like the hate comments and things like that diplomatically and like trying to like not, because I mean my immediate reaction is like keyboard warrior, let's go. I can't do
that. That was a cackle. I was trying to laugh and it came out as a cackle.
No.
Okay, so do you write it down first just so you can get the poison out, or do you just like say it out loud and then type the like politician response?
Read that something has come up and leave it there. And I am trying to engage as much as I can with people commenting. So whether it's positive or negative, like I try my best to be, I like obviously like Jasmine Crockett, she claps back. So like there are people in
not drop with the bad butch bill. I can't remember it, but my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, she just made her career. It's just like Al Green just made his career, and I am blanking. What is her name? She just did the rebuttal last night.
I had.
This breaks my heart because I've never heard of her before, and I was like, Hope Corps is like speaking right now. Oh my God, like this woman was brilliant, and like that, like there's those moments that really make you. And yeah, you're so right about Jasmine Crockett. I mean, like
yeah. So I'm trying to be as diplomatic while also still being true to myself. So like I have like removed myself from a lot of stuff, or I've like sent a message where I'm like, hey, we're clearly not going to agree on whatever this is. So respectfully, I'm going to be done with this conversation because I'm not going to change my mind. You're not going to change yours. And this is a waste of energy, and I don't have the time or energy to waste it on anyone at this point. So
Jesus, no kidding. Yeah. But what are you going to do with those impasses when, that's one thing when you're like, I'm just talking to someone online. I don't know if you're a bot. I don't know if you're a person. So I just literally had this experience today where I was like, are you this bored? Like, really? Like, this is some of the most foul things I've read. And like, you feel like, are you a person? Like, why am I spending my time on this? I don't know. But you are going to be in a chamber with someone who you can't just agree to disagree with because people's lives are going to be on the line. How do you handle this situation? Because you've been handling this with other people as you've been talking, and you've been in your own job, I'm sure, you've been up against some situations where like, we can't just agree to disagree. How do you find compromise in those moments?
Yeah, I think the word compromise is
loaded word. Sorry, that was putting words in your mouth. I'm so sorry. I have teenagers.
No, yes, it's a loaded word, and I think that there are certain things where there is not room for compromise, and also are a lot of things that we can come to an agreement. So like one of the things that I really want to implement is I want term limits in every single office. I don't think that anybody should be 90 years old and telling the 18-year-olds what they have to do, what they can and cannot do. You are so far removed from the new generation.
You mean the people who got to go to college for free and have $3,000 houses?
Yes.
Those ones? Yeah. The one who just died a week after he got elected because seniors, like, I'm not, no shit talk to senior citizens. I am here for people. I love getting wisdom. I honestly would love to hear from some of the original Black Panthers to come out and speak. There are a lot of people from the 70s. I would love to still be loud, but you shouldn't be in elected office. We actually have age limits for youth. We're saying that there are people who are too young to run. Well, we need to do that on the other side of that.
Right. And I agree, and also hesitate to like implement this because of like the protections for ageism and things like that within the workforce, which very well could be an issue that arises with that. However, like term limits, you can't serve longer than four congressional terms. Or
like, you ever just saw a compromise here, because I was really set on age limits here. I always thought that was the answer, but you just brought up such a perfect point. This is the Bugs Bunny way around that. Like, I am all here for Bugs Bunny solutions. This is how you handle any sort of stubborn issue, is Bugs Bunny it. Like,
yeah.
That's really good.
I also fully recognize that term limits is not something that a lot of the people that we have in office are going to want, because
just like we can't get them to stop trading stocks. Yeah.
Exactly. God, exactly.
Sorry, my teeth just started shattering again. With like, Martha Stewart went to jail for insider trading, didn't she? Why is this not
paying our politicians to do that?
What? Yeah, again, I feel like my molar just cracked on that. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. So I mean, I have been like very clear with like, I'm not going to be involved in any kind of stock, anything. And I think that should be like the moral obligation for any office. We are public servants. We are not there to serve our own needs. Like, that's not the job. That's not what you're there for. And I think one of my TikToks, I talked about how I think that empathy is what's missing in Congress. And so we have all these career politicians that are only looking out for themselves because they are part of the ultra rich. The combined net worth of Congress is out of this world. Like, they couldn't.
Age too, I think, also needs to be a discussion, because I think the median age for Congress is 65. I could be wrong on the number, but it's not 30 or 40. It's not even 50, and that feels very relevant.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, it's a stressful job. And so like, I commend people that still want to be working later on in life or feel the need to continue working. And also, like, I think that there is a time that maybe we open the door for younger people and new voices and new ideas, because I mean, like, my grandfather is also very, very Republican conservative. And we've had conversations about recycling, and he was and like throwing trash out the window, littering. He was telling me that when he was growing up, that was normal, to just, you're done with whatever it is you're eating, you just throw it out the window. And then he said, like, throwing things in a trash can and recycling, I think that that's actually good. So maybe the younger generation does actually have good ideas that should be contributed to what's happening. And I think that is like, I mean, that was such a beautiful realization to witness it happen for him. Like, it was just like, okay, yes. So you realize that we do need younger voices. And with them, they've agreed that term limits. So I think that the voters agree that term limits are a good thing. I think that the people in office, there's definitely going to be some pushback. So my game plan is to really lowball it and say, like, let's do 4 terms or 2 terms or something that's like, really, you got 4 years in Congress and that's it. And see if they'll like, hey, maybe 5 terms. Maybe you can do 10 years in Congress, and see what happens.
Going back to Citizens United again, this has been, and you cannot overstate how much Citizens United changed politics in America.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest changes it had, aside from dark money, and I mean, I'm not conspiracy theory, I have no tinfoil hats, I swear. But I'm just saying, like, this allowed money to come in that we couldn't track, and the amounts are just staggering. The issue for that was that politicians couldn't focus on their jobs. They had to focus on fundraising. So they couldn't be in DC talking to each other, which used to happen. They used to spend a lot of time together back in the 80s and 90s. Yes, I'm ancient, but they used to do that. And now they can't. They have to leave immediately and go back and start fundraising. That's almost most of the politicians' jobs. So if you and people like AOC are saying, this is not my job, I am not going to be fundraising, my job is to help my people, you're actually pointing that out over and over again, that this is your job, not getting more money. That makes me feel a lot more comfortable and safe voting for someone like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like I don't know how we got so far away from that. Like that has always been, if you are representing the people, you are representing the people. So do your job. And yeah, that one I think is also going to be an uphill battle. But I also think that there is this huge movement of this is what people want. And so I think having the backing of the people and having the people united in this is going to be really, really helpful in pushing that through. Yeah.
So what's your thesis? Like, I was a teacher, sorry. So in an English major too. Thesis. And I can't come up with a better word, so please forgive me. But I feel like that's the thesis of your entire campaign and what your message is. And that feels like what's coming across to me is that your thesis is getting past the surface and like all the things that have been like forced into us to divide, even down to ageism. We watch as the media tells us or told us millennials, what the heck, people? And now it's Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen Alpha. They're all lost to us. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, this isn't supposed to be this fight. We are supposed to be an intergenerational society we're supposed to be taking care of each other from young to old. Like, this is an ecosystem. We're not in a bell jar. And you are doing, like, it feels to me like what you're talking about is getting past the labels, removing the labels, and just getting to the problem and solution.
Yeah.
I'm here for that. Do you have any questions for the disability community we can help you with? Because there is no shade, no hate here, but like, I do know that healthy people, or not necessarily healthy people, but people who have not experienced long-term illness or disability, which, by the way, we are a club that is open to everyone. You will either become us because you age into us, if you're lucky, or you're going to have a bad day and you're going to become one of us. Unless you've been here, it's really hard to know what our realities are. So do you have questions for the disability community that we can like put out there and people can like answer for you?
I mean, honestly, my biggest one would be, what do you all want to see from DC? And the people listening to this, I think maybe will have better insight than what I'm going to get from my constituents. So I would love to hear what the listeners want to see from.
Your area has quite an active disability community. So I will give you some resources to reach out to them. I can't speak for your district on what they need, but we definitely we tapped into a lot of that, especially the right to work from and go to school from home. I cannot think of another way to create equity than that would be as impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we will absolutely ask the public and get that out there. Do you have any other things we need to run through aside from what your like song is? Because I feel like everyone has their pump up song, and I want to know what your pump up song is.
Okay, I'm the worst with remembering. Hang on, I can.
Someone asked me a question like, "What's your favorite book?" I'm like, "I was an English major. Every surface in my house is the bookshelf. Did I read a book ever? Have I ever seen a book?" Yeah, I'm so sorry. I totally screwed that up for you.
No, it's okay. Here, I will tell you what my song.
Go on Spotify and tell me. Okay.
Yeah, let me look it up really fast.
While you're doing that, I'm going to give people some resources because we talked about ways that you can be involved politically. And if you're disabled and you're bedbound or you're having anxiety, let me give you 2 free ways to stay involved. And there are 2 different apps you can download on Android or iOS. It's 5 calls. And that's if you can handle a phone call. And what happens is it gives you the name of your state representatives, your state senators, your governors, and you click on a button and it calls for you. And then you go back to your script and it gives you the script. You don't even have to think about what to say. You just repeat the script and it's right there. The other one is if you have phone anxiety or you're stressed or you're just in the middle of something and you just want to be involved, It's called ResistBot. It is a free download. And all you do is you just search through, like, what do I feel passionate about today? And you click on it and you can choose if you want the letter faxed, emailed, or sent. Now, for sent and faxed, you do have to pay. I have a membership. I think it's $5 a month, and it lets me like really bother them with the faxes. I am here to annoy and bother. And that's all you have to do. You just click on it. You click yes, you click what you want it done, and congratulations, were just involved without having to socially interact. So those are my two things. Did you find your song?
I did. So it's called Born for This by The Score. And I came across it because my little sister sent me a different song by them and I loved it. And then that like happened on my Discover Weekly or something. And I was like, oh my God. And I think it popped up when I was on my way. I have this shirt that says equality and it has like the BLM fist. It has a wheelchair on it. It has a pride flag. Like it's equality, right? Equality means everybody. And I was wearing that to my grandfather's birthday dinner.
How did that go over? How was that?
What? He afterwards, like, he hugged me and he was like, one thing that I love about you is how accepting you are of everybody around you. And so, like, I mean,
yeah, your family's your superpower
too.
yeah, but we can't do what we haven't seen. Like,
exactly.
There's this like incredible statistic, and I'm gonna fuck it up. So let me just like generalize it. There was a baseball player. I actually remember the sport. So yay, can't remember his baseball player. My dead dad is going to haunt me for this one. But he had like the most home runs, and it was like that's it. That's human excellence. And then the next person came in, blew it away. Then the next person, like, and then almost like it just kept happening. Same thing with gymnastics. Like, if you look at the gymnastics from like 1980, you will be amazed at what you're seeing right now. It's what we see and what we model. And so what you're doing is for your family, you're modeling compassion, empathy, and equity. And they're modeling an ability for you to have a real discussion with someone who doesn't instantly agree with you. And I think that you have a real treasure trove there in your family.
Yeah.
Like you guys are all able to still talk, which that feels like a skill level right now.
Yeah. It was interesting. That's actually what kind of like started the mending of my relationship with my dad, is that I was like, hey, right after the election, I was like, hey, we need to talk, because like this administration potentially takes out my work. This takes out like my livelihood, my community,
your right to vote.
Yeah, my right to vote. This takes so many things potentially, which, you know, it's already started. And I feel
sorry, the SAVE Act I just read, and I'm like, my dentist is like, I bet my dentist voted for Trump just to make sure I'd be in there every year.
Yeah.
All of us teeth grinders, yes.
Yeah, I have a mouth guard that I wear.
The airplane, I picked the wrong like administration to stop like shrinking stuffing load.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched Airplane, go watch that, everyone. Still holds up, still amazing. Forrest Day speaking jive is probably the funniest thing you'll ever watch in this lifetime.
Yeah.
It's one of our movies. I have a family member and I refuse to discuss like my close family, but I do have a close family member where we don't align. That is our touchstone, is these like ridiculous, stupid movies. And we can watch them and then we can have a discussion and a dialogue, just like what you were talking about. Like there's always an opening. For you, it's taxes. That's a good one to talk about. We just saw what happened with Luigi, and I'm probably going, no one's going to play this. This will get no air anywhere. This will be silence and threat. You say Luigi and you're not a gamer, it's over. What I'm swear I'm not saying anything controversial. What I am saying is we watched incredibly people like Ben Shapiro come on and try to defend United Healthcare, and his own base turned against him. So we've now learned that taxes and healthcare are something that all of us can talk about. We already know for sure what United Healthcare was doing. All of us have dealt with health insurance where we have friends, family, or us who have been denied life-saving care.
Yeah.
Or we had to pay mortgages, or like we had the number 3 cause of bankruptcy in the United States is health.
I fully believe
it's not in California anymore, because I believe that does not appear in our credit reports, and it shouldn't have nationally anymore because Biden signed that, but I don't know if Trump overturned that. I'm really hoping I can get you back on the show very soon. What is your website? I'm sure by the time this airs, your website will be up and running. Even if I have to make you one on Squarespace, you will have a website. And do you want to get that out right now, or do you want to send it to me and we'll put it in show notes?
I will send it to you to put it in show notes.
No worries. We have a lot in show notes that we need to see. We are not sponsored here. So everything I talked about is things that I use, from ResistBot to Brave to 5Calls. Everything we talked about is just our personal things, because neither one of us takes money. I don't take appetizers. So yeah, we're all here just doing our jobs because we really feel like we need it done. Is there anything anyone can do if someone heard this and they're like, man, I need to support this campaign? What can they do? Because you're not taking donations yet, right?
So I do have a website up to donations. And let me pull up the name.
We will actually have, if you go over to invisiblenotbroken.com, whenever this airs, we will have a button, and you can go directly to that button. That will go right to the website where you can learn more about the campaign, and you'll be able to donate directly if this is interesting to you. I hope it is, because I think this is such an important issue, is to get more people involved in politics. We watch so many people run unopposed, and now we're dealing with the consequences of that. So if at any point you're like, I feel like I have a solution, I don't feel like I'm the person, someone else will. Someone else will have the audacity, and they probably are going to have the exact opposite ideas as you. So I want to see more of this energy that I'm seeing from you, of people going, hey, I have solutions, I have ideas.
I'm going to put it in the chat. It's CrowdPack, because I don't want to use Act Blue or whatever the conservative one is. And this is strictly for crowdfunding. It makes it easier than GoFundMe does, because it collects all the information that you need from people that are donating.
Also, GoFundMe has some very interesting policies and politics.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting to be a small world on what I can support and buy at this point. I'm like, I don't even know what car I'm going to buy at this point. I'm like, we are done with our lease at the end of this year, and I morally don't know what we're going to do.
Have you heard of Goods United? Goods United.
I have it.
Same. And like everything, even in the grocery store, I'm like, okay, can I buy this brand?
Oh my goodness. You have no idea. I tried to explain to my husband, he's like, why are you such a ball of anxiety when we go grocery shopping? I'm like, well, I'm trying to decide whether it's healthy, whether everyone will eat it or not, whether there was unfair labor practices, whether it traveled too far to get here. And he's like, is this why you grow everything? I'm like, yeah, that's why we have fucking chickens in the backyard. Is I literally would grow everything myself and make it all, then have to keep asking these questions, because the second I think I have the answers, they bend the knee, like Target. Like, what the what happened? Yeah. Every time I'm like, oh, Ford we can get a Ford. No. And I get a lot of flack for this, because people think I'm being ridiculous, but I'm like, I don't have a lot of things I can do. I spend 60% of my life in this bed. There's not a lot of ways I can cast a shadow and make a difference in politics, but I can at least speak with my wallet. It's one of the few, that and shit posting. Those are my only powers. That's pretty, and being here on this podcast, that's the way I can cast a shadow. And maybe it's not a big shadow, but it's the only one I can. And so that's what I do. And if enough of us do that, well, Target loses $15 billion in a month. So maybe it does work.
Exactly. Target also felt real personal because of how supportive they were of the queer community and the Black community. And then you just roll all of that back. Like, that felt like because there are so many organizations and corporations, not organizations, that are rolling back DEI, but like Target felt personal. That one, Target was my one-stop shop. And I know that a lot of folks, like, it's the disease of convenience, right? So like Target was a one-stop shop. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to this small business, and like we have a small grocery store. So that's where I'm going to get all of my groceries, because they're probably not donating to campaigns. And if they are, they're definitely not donating on Target levels. Yeah, it's been.
I stopped with them actually last year in Pride, when they removed Pride merchandise. That's when I stopped. I was like, no, you do not. Because they were one of the first corporations to support the Pride community. Yeah. And I take that very seriously. And when they removed the stuff, I'm like, yeah. That's the thing that I think people don't understand. They're like, well, why isn't Walmart suffering? Because Walmart's staying true to their message. They've always been hateful. They've always been hateful and screw everyone. They've always been that. So it's no surprise. Hobby Lobby, same thing. That's why they're fine. Chick-fil-A, same thing. They've been very clear on who and what they are, and they haven't deviated from that. And people will accept anything. Donald Trump, if it's predictable.
Yeah.
If they know if it's a consistent message and they know what they can count on, they can handle a lot. Donald Trump. And when you take your main theme, Starbucks, Target, of inclusivity, of being progressive, and you're like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to waver. You're going to lose both sides. You're not going to be conservative for the conservatives. And the liberals have a long memory.
Yeah.
There's no coming back like that. I mean, Starbucks still hasn't, which is just shocking to me. I was like, wow, for a while, they were the zeitgeist of where you went, where like you would buy into real estate. If it was called the Starbucks effect. If there's a new Starbucks coming in, the neighborhood's up and coming. And now it's lost, I can't remember how many billions of dollars. And it's been sustained for 2 years. Like, you can't go against message.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have stolen you for most of the evening. I hope I get to steal you again. I cannot thank you enough for dealing with my chaos and for being here and allowing me to like grab you off of social media and bring you into the podcast. I am very excited to get to see you on the ballot. I unfortunately do not live anywhere near your district, so I won't be able to vote for you, but I will be able to like be very loud because that's one thing I'm good at.
Amazing. And that's what I need is like the louder, the better. Get my name out there because the name recognition is going to be huge in trying to turn this seat around.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And please go over to our website. It's invisiblenotbroken.com. We're on all socials, which I should probably start saying since we have quite a listener base and no social media press. So you can find us anywhere on social media at Invisible Not Broken. Our website's invisiblenotbroken.com. Be kind, be gentle, and whatever it looks like to you, be fierce. And I don't know if we've seen a better example of being fierce. And please be kind and gentle with yourselves. That has never been more important.